Hello everyone and welcome back to the gaming tier of Patreon, where we discuss all things video gaming, and sometimes perhaps I'll come across something that is tabletop gaming or board gaming or the like to also include in these videos. But today I have a couple of things to talk about. Let us begin with some of the good stuff. On the 14th, I came across this article that Oxenfree 2 Lost Signals is announced. This is a video game. Oxenfree was released for free during a week on the Epic Games Store, and it is a story game that, depending on your choices, would change different things that happen throughout the game. And I found it to be a very fascinating experience that I'm kind of glad I picked up this game and tried it out. And so here is the sequel for the game that will be releasing sometime this year for the Nintendo Switch. And I'm excited. It's a supernatural game. It's, teen drama. Apparently, the game is set 5 years after the events of the original, so after they finally get off of that crazy island, maybe we'll end up going back. But this IGN article says the first game was an interactive mystery drama with some very smart ideas about how to present branching dialogue, something the new game seems likely to build on. Oxenfree 2 builds on these ideas and from a gameplay perspective looks familiar to anyone who played the first. Venture around new areas in search of a mysterious signal and experience supernatural events. We awarded Oxenfree an 8.2 review back in 2016, saying that it was like walking through a stunning painting, listening to the idle chatter, and revealing talks of sometimes unnatural sounding teenagers. I am actually extremely excited for this game to come out, even if it's on Nintendo Switch. I am just happy that it's going to get a sequel. I want to know what else that they put forward in this kind of a game. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. So the next thing that I want to talk about is, again, another release coming to the Switch. And this is also going to be probably a favorite of mine when it launches, and that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Beat 'em Up is coming to Switch. So we are talking about Shredder's Revenge, and I gotta tell you, if it looks like the original Ninja Turtles, like when I was a kid, and we get to play that Ninja Turtles game, I am definitely over the moon about this. So, .emu and Tribute Games revealed Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, a 16-bit style throwback to the TMNT beat-em-up games of old for unspecified consoles and PC back in March. Now we know one of those consoles, Nintendo Switch. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge will launch on Switch later this year, Nintendo revealed during Wednesday's Indie World Showcase. The game sends Ninja Turtles Leonardo, Raphael, Michelangelo, and Donatello, the best Ninja Turtle, into battle against the Foot Clan, Bebop, Rocksteady, and of course Shredder in an arcade-style brawler. A new gameplay trailer released Wednesday offers a new look at Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge in action. It is being developed by Montreal-based Tribute Games. Two of the founders of the studio, Jonathan Levine and Justin Sear, previously worked on Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game, and TMNT, the acclaimed 2007 brawler for Game Boy Advance at Ubisoft. Tribute's other works include retro-inspired fare Panzer Paladin, Flint Hook, Wizorb, and Mercenary Kings. This is fantastic. Well, the when I was a kid, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series had two well-known games, and often people will think of one over the other in terms of just it. Well, it's the seaweed. It's the seaweed that would always kill you in this game. So it was sort of, I'll loosely say, an RPG style top-down video game where you could ride around in the vehicle, in the turtle vehicle, and you had your four Ninja Turtles. And if you died as one of the Ninja Turtles, then you had the other three Ninja Turtles to carry forward. And there was this one portion of the game where you jumped into the water and then you had to swim through the seaweed to get to the 7 or 8 computer terminals that were sort of hidden underwater to, I think, deactivate a bomb or something. But the hitbox of the seaweed was very touchy, and more often than not, people died often trying to get to those computer terminals. And there were very few points in time that people were able to progress past that section. Now, my brother and I at the time were able to do it. It took a lot of work and a lot of deaths, to make that happen. But that is my all-time favorite Turtles game. But the other Turtles game that was really out at the time was a beat 'em up style. It was sort of like your Mortal Kombat's, style of game where you just attack, different people, and it's side-scrolling 2D, and you're taking on the Foot Clan and all of these crazy things, and it's just a fun beat 'em up game, which is more likely what this one harkens back to. But either way, I'm here for it. I'm always looking for a good non-thinking beat 'em up game that isn't like super over the top. And I know it's not something I play often, but once in a while you just feel like going into a Dynasty Warriors game and just beating the crap out of everything because you can. So that is what I've got for games coming up that I came across by accident that I wanted to talk about. And now we're going to get into a couple of other interesting things. Many of you may remember that back in November of last year, Cyberpunk 2077 came out, and it was met with a lot of criticism, and Sony took the game off of their store, for which they are still going through legal proceedings to try and get Cyberpunk back onto the PlayStation stores so that people can play it, especially now that the 1.2 patch dropped and has significantly improved the game, and the laundry list of hotfixes for the game was substantial. I did go through a lot of that list, and oh my god, many of them were just simply bug fixes. So here we are, a couple of days ago, Cyberpunk released news that they've got another hotfix. And again, it is another sort of laundry list of fixing individual quests that are all italicized, just to show which quests were affected by various different bugs. This list is significantly shorter than the other. I mean, we're at the bottom now. That took no time at all. So CD Projekt Red is going forward and continuing to make the player experience better. So hopefully those of you that asked for a refund will consider in the future that the game is at a better state to maybe repurchase the game and actually experience the world, because it is improving drastically from what it was before. Now, I can only speak to that when it comes to PC. I cannot talk about the console because I only have it on PC. So take that for what you will, but I wanted to let you guys know that they are continually updating the game, that they are going forward with all of the things that they had said they were going to do, and we will just have to wait and see what happens, especially when we are going to receive that new DLC content and potentially multiplayer, although that may or may not be shelved. We're not 100% certain on that aspect just yet. So, I just wanted to inform you guys that Cyberpunk is being worked on, and I hope that in the future you guys will give it a chance if you haven't, because I personally really love the game, even though it still has a lot of work to be done before it's in a extremely good state that people will feel more confident about CD Projekt Red video games moving forward. So we'll have to see what happens with that. In other news this week, the first actual sort of news piece I want to cover is Call of Duty Warzone. Now, this came across my Discord, actually, not my Discord server, but someone else's Discord server discussed the massive issues that Call of Duty has been having. And it's no secret that there are a lot of competitive shooting games that are rife with cheaters. And this is the news piece from earlier on in the week where they served almost 500,000 bans for the video game. So, a large ban wave on Sunday in Call of Duty Warzone makes 475,000 accounts permanently banned since the mode launched a little more than a year ago, developers said on Monday. The weekend bans were the game's 7th highest volume set of bans since February alone. That is February of this year, from my understanding. And there's plenty more where that came from. Increased frequency of high volume ban waves, in addition to our daily banning of repeat offending accounts, is on moderators' list of increased efforts published in a note to players. We recently banned 45,000 fraudulent black market accounts used by repeat offenders, the post said. Removing cheaters and taking away their ability to move alternate accounts is a key focus for the security teams. Not that this means all is now rosy and well in Warzone. Cheating in Call of Duty's free-to-play Battle Royale has drawn widespread complaints from some Warzone's most loyal players, particularly streamers and YouTubers who have recently said they're giving up on the game. Many more have turned to disabling cross-platform matchmaking, keeping the more problematic PC population out of their playlists despite repeated and annoying reminders from the client asking to turn it back on. Now, developers can only do so much to mitigate, the damage that is caused from cheating. Everything from people losing money because of, competitive gameplay, cheating to win that money, stuff like that. Cheating in the sense of being given access to things that are rare weapons to acquire, or gear, or things like that would be maybe attributed to something like loot boxes. I'm not saying that Call of Duty has loot boxes. I'm simply saying that cheating in video games is a difficult problem to deal with. And I myself have almost walked away from Destiny 2 a number of times because of the rampant cheating in competitive modes, even if some of those competitive modes are not 100% PvP based. So I'm talking about Gambit. Think of it sort of like in World of Warcraft, you have your Alterac Valley and your Warsong Gulches and your Eye of the Storm, where it is a PvP map, but it's also like a capture the flag, or like you have to kill the end commander in the zone. And it's, even though you can kill lots of other players and it is a PvP area, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to focus on just killing people. And Gambit is something similar, where you've got an objective to reach, and there's also a PvP component where you can go and invade the other side's map and try and stop them from reaching the same objective that you're trying to reach for. But then they can also do the same to you. And depending on the week, you will find a lot of cheaters in Destiny doing the same thing. And it's extremely difficult to mitigate the damage caused by cheaters, and companies will start losing more and more of their players if they don't have adequate anti-cheat systems in their games. And some of those are questionable, others are not. Other people believe that there's no use in trying to get rid of them because they'll just make a new account and come back in. And it's a very big issue. But what is the point of worrying about cheating if there's sort of nothing to gain from it? So I just kind of look at this like, I'm glad that, Call of Duty Warzone is trying to deal with the problem, but at the same time, I know that there are a lot of people who are just going to be really upset about it, and, all the power to them, like, go for it. But I mean, we've got a pandemic going on. Many people have lost their jobs or trying to find ways to make money. I think it's more useful to try and find ways to keep yourself afloat and keep yourself sane than it is to, keyboard warrior and bitch and complain about cheating in video games when that's not going to necessarily help you progress. So, kudos, to the developers for, trying to deal with the problems. I do wish them the best, and I hope that they're able to make the game, at least passably good. But I've never been a Call of Duty fan, so that's just me. But also on the topic of Call of Duty, I came across this. And this is a post about patches in Call of Duty are now twice the size of the entire Resident Evil village. So it's talking about how the entire game already requires more than 200 gigabytes of hard drive space, which for many gamers is considered a really big number. Now you've got to consider that a lot of your gamers are really excited for your games. Gone are the days where you could go into a store, buy your game, go home, play it, enjoy the experience, bring it back to the store if you rented it. If you bought it, then you keep it on your shelf or you sell it to your friend, whatever it happens to be. Gone are those days where you just buy the thing and you continue forward. We live in an age where games are constantly patching and updating to the point that it takes up more and more and more space, that gamers now have to continually buy larger hard drives in order to facilitate this. Now, I was intrigued originally by the idea of Stadia, where it was effectively like cloud gaming, where you did not have to physically download everything for a game in order to play it, and Stadia was going to be the platform that would do that. And I thought it was a really cool idea if they could make it work. But unfortunately, there were a lot of things. It wasn't super well received, and I do not know the future of Stadia. I haven't heard a lot from it. But it's to mitigate situations like this, where you have hundreds of gigs for one game. Never mind, anything else you might want to be playing. It's very taxing, to consider, like, okay, this game is this size, this game is this size. Now I have to maybe uninstall some other games in order to play the one game that I've been playing for a long time because they've patched it and added a shit ton more content. And I think that game developers are going to have to start thinking about what they should be doing with that information so that some of these patches are not nearly as large, because it's kind of ridiculous right now. The biggest news piece to come across my screen over the last couple of days was something that I came across yesterday. Bloomberg Japan had released an article that said, several potential buyers have shown interest in Square Enix, and CTFN quoted two bankers familiar with the matter. It is not clear if the focus is on the gaming sector or the company as a whole. According to Bloomberg data, Square Enix digital entertainment business accounted for 72% of total sales in the fiscal year ended at the end of March 2020. Growth of mobile games in the world may continue to slow, Bloomberg Intelligence said yesterday. It is said that it will be much stricter than 2020, when sales surged due to restrictions on going out due to the coronavirus. Now, it was an interesting article that Bloomberg released, because there were a couple of news sites that started circulating the information about Square Enix potentially being bought and what would happen and whatnot, but I could not seem to verify that this was an actual thing. It almost feels like a, April Fool's joke or something a little bit too late, because here we are with a very short article that does not seem to have anything for source material or anything like that. And unfortunately, they jumped on this weird bandwagon a little too soon, because as of this morning, Eurogamer.net said Square Enix flatly denies it is up for a sale. Square Enix has taken the unusual step of stating it isn't for sale after a report claimed several potential buyers were circling the company. Earlier today, Bloomberg Japan reported that the Final Fantasy maker was being courted by companies interested in an acquisition, citing bank officials with knowledge of the situation, but without sources cited or anything like that. No direct quotes, no names, no nothing. Even if it's a confidential source, they would say something that's a little bit more than just a sentence or two that paraphrases the idea. Anyways. Now, Square Enix has said it won't be bought and had received no offers along these lines. Bloomberg has reported today that there is an interest from several buyers to acquire Square Enix, a statement from the publisher reads. However, this report is not based on any announcement by Square Enix Holdings Corporation Limited. We do not consider selling off the company or any part of its businesses, nor have we received any offer from any third party to acquire the company or any part of its businesses. Video games industry consultant Dr. Serkan Toto noted on Twitter that Square Enix stock had soared this morning after the report, up by nearly 14%. For what it's worth, game industry analyst David Gibson added, think it's bankers trying to drum up business, stock being under pressure because of the failure of Avengers. No doubt it's a great IP, but already has commercial agreements with Sony and Tencent. Square Enix currently has numerous games in the pipeline, including high-profile projects such as Final Fantasy XVI and Forspoken, which it has already signed deals with PlayStation to launch first exclusively via some yet-to-be-confirmed exclusivity window on its platforms. Not that similar deals ruled out Microsoft's purchase of Bethesda. So, if you came across that rumor, consider that it might have just been a way to boost stock prices so that people can make more money, because people are struggling for money right now. Anyways, that is what I have for you guys this week. I hope you're enjoying these videos. Yesterday, I was on Just Joshing Podcast, the Twitch channel, talking about video games, talking about writing, talking about story. You know, we talked about a lot of different things. Definitely go check that video out. I know we talked forever, but it was great fun, and I hope to be back on that podcast in the future, hopefully when I've published my novel. But anyways, that's what I have for you today. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for your support, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.